This is Indie Propaganda. I'm Valerie Green.
And I'm Joy Mills.
We're back with our favorite, our most favorite.
Yes.
One of our most favorite guests ever, Gwen Sunkel.
Hi, everybody.
She is back, and I am so glad that you joined us today.
From my wig wall.
In front of your wig wall, I died when that came. Well, first you were in front of the Golden Gate Bridge on a green screen, and now
yes, you can change your Zoom background to be in a different place. But why would I want to be anywhere other than in my wigs right now?
It's amazing and also kind of terrifying. Like, do you sleep in this room?
No, but it is my guest room. So like when people come to stay with me, I have to be like, are you ready for the weirdest thing about me?
Oh my God.
Which is really saying something.
What are the reactions there?
Most people just think it's funny, and they're usually like traveling comics or artists, so they're just happy to have a free place to stay.
Right. There's not much, they have to just lean into it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, thank you for joining us. Gwen, you are we kind of talked to you the first time you were on the show with your comedy career. You're a professional comic. Hilarious, fantastic. Yes,
thank you.
Based here in Indy, but also we're coming to you. You're going to come to us with a nurse practitioner standpoint, and she's going to give us some tips on how to deal with the virus, how to stay safe in this pandemic. So thank you for joining us today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. Yeah. So I want to like preface everything that I'm saying today that I'm not coming to you in any like professional capacity. Please, nobody from Indie Propaganda sue me for or take this as like medical advice for your specific situation. You should talk to your healthcare provider about that. And the most up-to-date information is through the CDC and the World Health Organization. So if you want, specifics on things, they're the people to go to. But I just like kind of want to talk about what social distancing and self-quarantine is about versus what it's what it's not about, because I think there's a lot of confusion that's making people really anxious and scared.
Yes, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. So the coronavirus is a new viral illness, and the reason that it's so scary is that none of us, you, me, Joy, everybody else, nobody has immunity to the virus. So we all, if we're exposed to it, don't have the kind of natural defenders that our body makes to fight illness. Now, some of us are going to, like, we're all going to be exposed to the virus eventually, and none of us have immunity to it. It's very easily transmitted through respiratory droplets, so sneezing, coughing, talking, kissing, all those things that we have to do as humans to interact spread the virus. That's why respiratory type viruses are so dangerous. Now, some of us are going to be exposed to the virus, and our bodies are going to have a perfectly normal immune response, and our immune systems are going to defend our body against that virus, and then they're going to store that information kind of like a game genie, and when they see that boss again, when you are exposed to the coronavirus again, your brain, your body will go to the game genie and be like, oh yeah, I totally remember how to do this, and you won't get sick. There's going to be another portion of the population who is going to be exposed to the coronavirus, and they're going to get sick, and they're going to feel like they have a really bad cold. People are describing significant fatigue, just like a dry cough that won't go away, fever, and headache are kind of the main symptoms. And you're going to treat that the way you would any other viral illness, the flu, pneumonia, other chicken pox, other viruses. And you're going to rest, you're going to increase your fluids, you're going to take medicines like Tylenol and ibuprofen to lower your fever, you're going to stay home so you don't give it to other people, and in a few days you're going to be okay. Now there's another portion of the population that is going to be exposed to the virus, get sick, and be critically ill and need to go to the hospital. So social distancing and self-quarantine, so what we're trying to do is prevent all of those people who were going to get critically ill from the virus from getting critically ill from the virus all at the same time. That's when we have to start doing the things where, you know, they're talking about in Italy, like rationing who gets a ventilator and who doesn't and stuff like that. It's not about like, oh, let's never ever get exposed to this virus. We all will absolutely at some point get exposed to the virus. It's about making sure that the people who are at the highest risk aren't exposed all at the exact same time. Does that make sense? Yeah. So like you staying in social isolation is not about you personally not getting the virus. It's about all of us globally, like having a less contact with each other so that there's less opportunities for it to spread. Eventually we will all be exposed to it. There's just no way around it, you know? But I hear a lot of people, or I see, like the sense that I get from a lot of people is that they are like afraid that they personally are going to like make their Nana sick, and like if they hadn't gone over to their Nana's house, she would still be alive or something like that. And your Nana was going to get sick from the coronavirus eventually. The only thing we have control over now, like the virus is just the virus. Your risk factors exist. We can't do anything to change those now. What we can control is kind of when people get sick. Flattening the curve isn't about less people eventually being exposed and getting sick. It's just about spreading it out over a longer period of time. So, yeah.
Yeah. So when people see that chart, flattening it, the
like,
chart goes like this. Everyone gets sick at once because we're all in contact with each other. The hospitals can't handle it. We've got people, you know, FEMA coming out and building hospitals in the parking lot. So instead of doing this, we're going
to spread that out over.
Yes. And the hospitals can handle the people that need to go to the hospital.
Right.
That's a really good explanation that you just gave, because I think a lot of people don't understand that we're all going to get it, you know, or be exposed to it.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say to people about like it, like getting everybody's like, oh, there aren't enough tests, so we don't know, like I'm afraid that I was exposed to it, so I should go be tested. And if you go to like one of the hospitals right now, like I believe at Community East, again, don't quote me, like or hold a gun to my head about this or sue me or anything, that they have like tents outside where they're basically like, you know, the nurses and doctors and people are all wearing like gowns and gloves and masks, swabbing people like on a drive-by kind of basis, so they don't even go into the hospital. If you get, so they are like overwhelmed with the number of people coming in to get tested for relatively mild symptoms or no symptoms at all. If you don't have symptoms, or you have very mild like symptoms that you can deal with at home, the last place you need to be is at the hospital. Okay. The hospital right now needs to be for people who are like so short of breath they can't talk, are running very high fevers, are having, you know, significant trouble breathing, not for people who are like, oh, my neighbor's boyfriend had it and I think I might have been exposed because I waved at him while I was walking out to my car the other day. Should I get tested?
Yeah.
No.
Right, exactly. So that, like, I think there's a lot of misinformation or about like what to do in this time if you think you've been exposed to it. It would be like, the reason that we want to test people is so that we can like get statistics about the disease so we know how to treat it in the future and everything. It's not so much to be like, okay, because we're going to treat it the same way, and the bottom line is that there really aren't good treatments for viral illnesses. Okay, it's like I said, the rest, the fluids, the supportive care, the taking Tylenol and ibuprofen. Antibiotics aren't going to help. You know, there are antiviral medications for certain viral illnesses, but they, you know, we're a long way off from that for this particular disease, because it's again brand new. If we don't have a test, we barely have a test for it, we don't have a vaccine for it, we're certainly not going to have antiviral medicines for it. So even if you are critically ill and you do go to the hospital, it's still just that supportive type care. It just becomes a little bit more involved. Instead of increasing fluids by like drinking an extra couple glasses of OJ, you're getting fluids through an IV. Instead of staying in bed to rest, you're on a ventilator, which is doing some of the work of breathing for you, so your body can rest. Like, that's why any virus is so dangerous. I don't want to downplay like how dangerous the virus is, but I do want to make sure that we're all like worried about the right things, you know. like I don't want people walking around feeling like it's some sort of zombie pandemic where like you touch someone who had the coronavirus and it's an automatic death sentence.
Right.
Or it doesn't matter, like you didn't keep perfect quarantine and you accidentally touched your face the other day, so fuck it, middle fingers blazing, let's all go to the bar. Like it really is like a little bit at a time adds up to a great effect. We can't stay inside in perfect quarantine 100% of the time. What we're trying to do is get as close to that as we possibly can, and that makes a huge difference. This is like the least fun thing we've ever about you guys.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, this is like a Debbie Downer for sure.
I know, I know, and it is sad. It is like hard to talk about, and it's sad to think about, but like it's also, this is the reality of like any viral illness. It's not a matter of if these are going to start becoming more common, but when. You know, honestly, some of these isolation precautions in like heavy cold and flu season, we could argue that we should be doing every year for illnesses like the flu, because the flu kills 60 to 80,000 people in a year. So I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm not sure that we like all have the best grasp on like germ theory and what's going on.
Sure.
So.
I mean, that is one thing that is trying to find, like I keep saying, bright points in all of this, is that people are getting more educated on you know, health and hygiene and how to not spread. We're all being bombarded about, you know, with CDC and healthcare professionals about how to not spread illnesses and diseases. So I mean, that is one good thing, is hopefully people are absorbing some of that. Not everyone is. If you watch the news, some people are not fully convinced
Oh my God.
yet.
All of these people in Florida on the beach together. I mean, I guess they're outside, so it's not like as bad, but still, they're all staying in hotels together, like very close quarters. You know.
Yeah. So, what do you say to the younger people out there who maybe they think that they're not gonna get it? What do you say to those people?
So to them, I would say, this isn't about you. This is about doing something for everybody for the greater good. You're absolutely right. You staying home isn't going to make a difference in your personal life, because most likely you are going to be exposed to the virus and, like I said, have that perfectly normal immune response where your body creates antibodies for it, and you don't even feel sick, or you feel sick for a couple of days and it's no big deal. Or maybe even you're sick for 4 or 5 days and you do feel really bad, but you're still not critically ill. This is for everybody whose 80-year-old grandma with asthma is at home. This is for people who are on chemotherapy. This is for people who are on immune modifying medicines for MS or rheumatoid arthritis or lupus. You know how like when a friend of yours gets a diagnosis of cancer and you're like, I wish I could do something for you. Like, I wish I could, this is what you can do. This is the measurable thing that you can do. You're absolutely right. It's not about you not getting sick or not getting exposed. It's about giving those people who are at the highest risk the best chance of having access to the full spectrum of medical treatment when and if they do fall sick.
Right. So a common theme that you keep talking about is, making sure people are worrying about, what's actually important. So like keeping like the vulnerable population safe. So with that in mind, how far does isolation need to go? Like, should we still be going to grocery stores and doing like that? Like, should we be taking precautions, pumping gas, or
Yeah, so I think with anything, it's all about minimizing the number of trips out that you make and the number of times that you're exposed to a great number of people. It's probably not a bad idea to wash your hands after you pump gas, or keep some sort of hand wipe for after that. But again, so combining your trips into as few as possible, washing your hands more frequently. I mean, if the coronavirus is on the gas pump, like we're hosed already. Okay, that's already a vector that we're it's game over for that. What you have a chance to impact is if you then wash your hands really well and go home, you're not passing that to anybody else. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So like you washing your hands after that, like contact with frequently used items is probably going to be more effective than or not touching it in the first place is going to be more effective than like cleaning it off every time you touch something. I would be my guess.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really important.
So it's way easier
Information.
for like all of us individually to just like wash our hands a bunch than it is to try to like keep every surface perfectly clean.
Right.
So
Right.
Can you comment on maybe mental health in this time? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I am worried about people's mental health. One, I'm super worried about people working in the healthcare industry right now, because holy crap, you guys, like the things I'm hearing people say where they're having to work the entire day in like a isolation cover gown and gloves and masks and shields, like that is so uncomfortable and so hot. Like just the 12 hours, like doing that for 12 hours would make me miserable. They're having to reuse one mask for the entire week because like there just aren't enough of these kind of masks that we need to protect us against these airborne viruses. I worry about like the number of people that they're going to see pass away from this. That's going to be hard for them. I don't work in the hospital right now, so like what I'm seeing a lot of is people saying that they're more depressed and saying that they're having like worsening suicidal ideations, and like why are they even taking treatment for cancer or whatever, because it's like what's the point. So I try to be like really positive and upbeat with them, but it definitely does like wear on you. I'm very worried for everyone who has lost their jobs, and the mental health effects of like not being able to go to work, not being able to feel productive, not being able to pay your bills or feed your family. I'm really worried about people in recovery, because isolation is such a huge trigger for relapse. And like I'm also worried too just about like the kind of apocalyptic sadness effect, like of us all living through a pandemic together is, you know.
Mm-hmm. So how are you holding up through all of this?
You know, I am very fortunate, like I said, that I am still working and I do still have a job. I do feel like I have a lot of, you know, purpose with that. But, you know, in a lot of ways, the things that I do in the evenings to like, not have that like weigh so heavy on me, I can't do anymore. Like I can't do comedy, and like you guys can't play music, and I know you understand, and so many of your listeners do as well. So it's been hard, but like I said, I'm very fortunate that like I get to leave my home probably a little bit more than the average bear because my job is deemed essential. It's, you know, enjoyable to bring happiness and joy into people's homes. Sometimes they just want to talk. Everybody's so bored and just wants to talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
Like they're all of these little old people, and it's not like they go out very much, but they're used to having visitors come to see them.
Yeah.
So I'm super worried about people in like nursing homes as well, because most of them like can't have visitors now.
Yeah, and it's an actual statistic that, you know, the less that older people isolate themselves, the healthier that they stay. So
Absolutely.
that's really, really scary. My grandpa's in his 90s, and, you know, luckily we've got family that stays with him. So he's not, you know, ever had to be completely isolated after my grandmother passed away. So this and my aunt who lives with him took a 2-week leave from her job just to keep him safe. So but I know that, man, isolation, people will go downhill a lot quicker, the elderly. So I can't imagine how hard it is, and hopefully people are coming up with ways to stay in touch even if it's not in person.
Yeah, I've definitely been trying to call my relatives who live by themselves more and things like that. um, I'm real worried too about people not being able to like refill their antidepressants, because a
Yeah.
lot of family doctors' offices are going to like only telephone visits for the next, like through the end of April, just to limit exposure and things like that, which I agree with. But I just hope that people don't have, there's supposed to be things in, like they're supposed to put policies in place to make sure that people are still able to get their medications refilled. But I know that that can be hard for people to like make the calls and do the thing when you're depressed and don't feel like getting out of bed. So I encourage everyone to like, I know it's hard, but like keeping to a schedule of some kind where you say like, I get up every day at the same time and I go to bed every day at the same time. Even if you're like not getting up until noon, like there's no judgment here on what that routine is, but just like any amount. And but every day, you know, like I know this is like a dumb like apocalyptic Pollyanna thing to say, but like, oh my God, we're so lucky that we still get to go outside, you know, like and get fresh air every day. So like that's been enjoyable, to like just focus on that, and it's so quiet outside, like because nobody's driving or anything. It's like it's so delightful.
Seeing tons of people walking their dogs, which has been really great.
Right.
I love
That.
amazing.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and like showering every day and like
Yes.
changing clothes, even if you're just changing from like one pajama to the next pajama.
My
Again,
husband did that today. I got out of the shower. He's like, "Why are you showering?" Which I said, and I was like, "We're not doing that yet. Like, come on, that's not the house policy yet."
Right.
And he did. He came out later. He's like, "Look at me. I switched from one pajama to the next, so they're clean pajamas." He didn't shower, but he definitely changed into a new pair of pajama pants. So
Yeah.
progress there. It's good.
Brush your teeth. The last thing you need to do is come out of this with a bunch of cavities, you know. like take care of what you have.
Yeah, hygiene is still a thing. We can't.
Yes, and drinking water, like I have noticed myself like drinking more at home than I normally do, which I get was like I'm stuck at home, so that's why. But just remember, like if that's a trigger for you to kind of like avoid that, is it, I don't know, or limit it. I don't know. You're an adult, put
Right.
rules in place for yourself. But I've seen a lot more people be like, yeah, whatever, fuck it, I'll get drunk at home tonight, and no judgment, like I whatsoever. But if you know that that's a trigger for you,
And
something
alcohol is a depressant, and
it
we're
is.
going
Yeah,
through a tough time mentally, so
yeah,
definitely moderation that still
yeah,
applies.
yeah. Yeah. How are you guys handling it? I
Val?
know you've managed to like make your schedule busier in the last 2 days than it is when you're not under quarantine.
I can't believe it. Like, I don't know. I'm certainly waking up, like remembering that this is real, like that has been difficult. But I also, once Joy and I kind of regrouped on this whole thing, and we're doing something we wanted to do anyway, which is video.
That's awesome.
But the fact that I feel like this podcast has an even bigger purpose now by giving everyone a platform and a voice from all different industries, all walks of life, healthcare, musicians, people in the food and beverage business, brewery owners. We're going to be talking to a pilot, so someone in the airline industry, someone
Wow.
in the theater industry, comics. This
Yeah.
affects everyone, and the thing that's really the most kind of um, you know upsetting is that a lot of these people have multiple jobs that they've lost all at
Yeah.
once. There are people that work in the food industry that are also comics. There are
Yeah. Or
musicians
music.
that work in the beer industry, and there have been so many people that have lost everything, and they are even diverse. So
Yeah.
um, I'm just worried about everyone else. I'm very fortunate too that I still have a job at this time, and I get up and I've been really busy. Joy and I both have the past couple of days. We have a list of people to talk to, and we keep getting more and keep getting hit up by people doing really cool things that we want to hear about. So, and also just the contact. Like, we're getting a lot of social contact, even though it's
Yeah,
through
absolutely.
my webcam. So, and I'm here with my family and my dog, and
Yeah.
so far I've been so distracted that like I haven't had time to get like super depressed about it. And I feel like
Yeah.
I'm doing something. I think that we're doing something that's important to give people something to watch, and also get out good information like what you're giving us, and to have kind of a purpose and keep busy. So I'm doing okay. I'm just kind of, the worst part is worrying about everyone else.
For sure.
Hmm.
For sure.
What about you,
Yeah.
Joy?
Yeah, so just been doing a lot of cleaning, you know. I have to stay busy, otherwise, I let things get me down. So just trying to be productive instead of, just sitting around all day. That's been super helpful for me.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Like, you can definitely like think of all the times, all the stuff you've wanted to do for so long that you've been putting off, and
Yeah.
then now we all have time to do it.
That's
Yes.
like one thing that is kind of a good thing about some of this, as we talked about earlier, is like the world's kind of pressing pause and reset on everyone, and it really really does make you think about what's important, and kind of modifying your life, and getting, maybe some people are going to get back to their passions because they have time to. Some people maybe are going to slow down and say, man, I stressed and worried so much about this job, and I feel better now, like relief. I think some people probably
Right.
felt relieved that they maybe got out of a situation. They get a chance to rethink it. Not that that's a good a good thing to lose your income, but some people are going to be getting back to what's important to them. And like me too, like I'm planning on working on a lot more music than I've gotten a chance to.
Nice.
Yeah, so there are good things here and there about it, but
Absolutely. Or you have to find those good things even if they're not like readily apparent. So yeah.
so
Have you guys been doing anything with KGT from a distance?
So talking to Daniel, our drummer, we're definitely getting able to have more time to devote to that now. But Joy and I have just been super busy with the podcast.
Yeah.
We really think that, unfortunately, in a couple of weeks, we probably won't be. We don't know if we'll be doing these because I think it's going to be too fucking sad. It might get really serious, really, really, really scary and serious and depressing. And I don't, we just have to tackle that as those situations come, because we talk to you guys are our friends, and
Yeah.
we don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, but this may not be, appropriate. I don't know. So, but we will have time to work on music. We already do. So yeah, that's definitely in the plan.
Good.
A lot of practicing. We're going to be awesome.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully. How are your comic friends handling all of it? Have you been in touch? I'm sure you guys are super social with each other, and so I worry about
I
a lot of the
know.
comedians out there.
Yeah. So we're getting by. I think those of us who we're more social are staying more connected and social. And then we've done some like Jackbox games where you like all play on your phone. I don't know how it works. So that's been good. I've like talked to and FaceTimed a lot more people recently, which is, I think, cool, that even comics from other cities, like people who aren't around here, that it's just like, this is great that we actually have a chance to sit down and like talk and have a conversation. But yeah, it has been hard for people. I mean, we are like, we're like Tinkerbell, and if we don't have enough people clapping for us, we're going to die. So
yeah, you guys need a lot of attention.
we need so much goddamn attention all the time. It's painful, okay? It's so painful that no one has laughed at us. But we're trying to we're doing a live stream from Instagram, from Black Circle's Instagram tonight, of the Sunday show. It's going to be like a little wild and crazy and weird, a lot of different stuff. So it'll be fun to do that and like bring some levity to people. We're it's free. It's not like to do anything other than just like put a smile on some people's faces and make us feel a little bit closer together. So we're doing that tonight at 8 from Black Circle's Instagram. Awesome. I don't know if this will be out yet, but and then I'm sure they'll continue to do it in some form or fashion next week or in the weeks beyond. So this is like our new reality, it's like I said, it's not like if this will happen again where there's like another big virus, but like when. And big weather events and stuff due to climate change are possibly going to force us inside more and things like that. So we have to adapt and change and put out our art in different ways and consume it in different ways, and like value and monetize it in different ways probably now too. Again, I'm very fortunate that I'm not relying on my art to like pay my bills or feed my family or anything. But I know that that's a like very real possibility for some people, that it's like, okay, if I can't get 150 people in a room together to like pay me for this, like how can I survive in this new economy?
Right.
I don't have those answers, of course.
Yeah.
But like music did it too. I mean, when music went through this evolution, I think a little bit earlier than a lot of other art forms, where it went from buying physical albums to streaming, and then like how do people monetize music now? It's much different than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely been a big change. So we're running out of time, but
yeah,
we're gonna definitely link to what you're doing virtually. I know you guys everyone's figuring this stuff out on the fly. Hopefully you guys can utilize Zoom to interact, so you can invite up to like 100 people. It's pretty amazing with the free account. So you can get all your comic friends on there.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys so much. You're awesome.
Thank you, Gwen. And we'll share the Sunday
Hell
show and
yeah.
whatever else you guys are doing. I think it's going to cut us off in a minute, but
Okay.
yeah, we'll be in touch and stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love you guys. Bye.
Bye.